It's a little unexpected that Galino would put in the time, effort, and risk to save Tommy directly given his immense influence and authority. Galino must have had a good purpose for crossing the U.S. border, risking getting captured by the police, and putting himself in front of gunfire in order to speak with Tommy face to face. Galino had an opportunity to establish a highly profitable business relationship with Tommy and M-Tex, which is probably why he saved Tommy. Galino saw Tommy and M-Tex as a chance to seize, while Jimenez saw them as a problem to be solved. Galino asked Tommy how much his cartel's land holdings were worth and declared that he wanted to be friends with him shortly after saving Tommy. With Tommy's assistance, Galino appears to be looking to diversify his cartel's revenue streams beyond narcotics and begin working in the oil sector. Galino halted his execution and immediately presented himself to Tommy because it was clear that he couldn't have employed Tommy if Jimenez had killed him. Galino interpreted Tommy's rescue as a business meeting. Tommy and Jimenez, a lower-level cartel commander who ultimately chooses to take matters into his own hands, spoke over the phone in the penultimate episode of Landman Season 1. Tommy is apprehended by Jimenez, who then sets off an M-Tex oil drill. In Landman Season 1 finale, Galino, a new character, is introduced, adding another seasoned film star to the cast. Andy Garcia appears as a smart, dignified cartel leader who wants to break the cycle of bloodshed. Garcia is most recognized for his appearances in The Untouchables and Ocean's 11, among many more classic movies. Galino and Tommy talk about how they may both succeed at the same time by learning how to work together and make money. Galino says he would be interested in switching to oil after Tommy says his drug business is failing. Galino pulls a hard bargain by combining his own facts with Tommy's threats, despite Tommy's reluctance to make any agreements with the cartel. The story suggests that Tommy might need to start negotiating with the devil if he wants to prosper in the future. Tommy Norris and the cartel had a number of story twists in the Landman Season 1 finale, and his kidnapping and unexpected rescue were somewhat of a blur. Throughout Landman Season 1, the conflict between Tommy and the cartel had been simmering, and it reached a crescendo at the conclusion of the season. Jimenez abducted Tommy at the end of the first season of Landman and led him to an oil well, whereupon he blew it up. He then brought Tommy back to his bar and started tormenting him with the obvious goal of having him put to death. Tommy was abducted by Jimenez and taken to one of M-Tex's oil wells in the most serious of their power-playing games. Jimenez beat him up and then ordered his guys to blow up the whole site, including the well, tanker, and pump jack. That proved to be a huge error, though, as Tommy clarified that the government would soon look into the explosion and discover that the cartel was responsible, leading to a host of problems. It's unclear why Jimenez went over his boss's head, but Tommy even figured out that he had blown up the well without his consent. Jimenez informed Tommy that the cartel was larger and more potent than the oil firms prior to detonating the well. Because he saw Tommy and M-Tex as effectively a competing gang, Jimenez attempted to muscle them out like he would a rival gang, which is why he blew up the oil well without his boss's consent. Jimenez retaliated as though he had been struck by a rival cartel after Tommy had some of his men and merchandise blown up. Tommy was merely competition for Jimenez to eliminate, but his boss saw the wider picture far more clearly. Tommy was spared by an enigmatic organization near the end of Landman Season 1, right before Jimenez had him put to death. That gang was led by Jimenez's cartel boss Galino, Andy Garcia. The exact location of Galino's cartel is unknown. In Spanish, Jimenez claimed to be the boss, on this side of the river, most likely referring to the Rio Grande, which separates Texas and Mexico. Galino's cartel might, however, be headquartered in Colombia or another Latin American nation. In any event, Galino traveled across international lines to have a face-to-face conversation with Tommy. What Galino is capable of is obvious, even though his origins are not totally known. Galino is extremely strong. He claimed to have as many contacts as Monty Miller, and his troops quickly killed Jimenez and all of his soldiers. Additionally, Galino demonstrated his skill as a negotiator by persuading Tommy to collaborate with him just minutes after Tommy had been subjected to torture and yelled that the cartels would be sucked up and spit out by the oil sector. Now that Monty is unable to function, he is practically the. In Landman Season 2, it is evident that Galino and Tommy formed a partnership as a result of his rescue, although it is more difficult to pinpoint the specifics of their relationship. Galino stated that he might begin interfering in Tommy's job as president of MTEX and that he was interested in extending the operations of his cartel to the oil industry. Galino might compel Tommy to drill on the cartel's property and sign a lease that greatly benefits him if he had the full power of a cartel on his side. However, Galino could be a more benevolent partner because he appears more interested in